Welcome to the MFS Wellness Podcast, a hybrid structure encompassing health, fitness, self-improvement, and entertainment, where no topic is off limits and all opinions are graciously welcomed.
Let's get on with the show!
And now, here's the host of the show, Mike Sinopoli.
This is the MFS Wellness Podcast. I am Mike Sinopoli. We are right smack in the middle of October, which means Halloween is approaching and the holidays are right around the corner. I mean, this year has absolutely flown by. But I wanted to come on and do this special episode I've had in my head for a while. I brought on two very good friends of mine who have been very patient. I've been talking to them about this for a couple of months, and I kept kicking the date back, like I said in the last episode. And the reason I was talking to these two guys about this is because we have something in common. The three of us, we are all divorced dads with two daughters, and all around the same age as well. So we're going to have a quick discussion, however we want to do it. Something, about the dynamic of having daughters and being single dads and the joys, the struggles, and so on. So just to give you guys a heads up of who's here with me, I got my longtime neighbor. We call him Mr. Dan, the handyman, Mr. Dan Wisniewski. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing very good, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's a joy. I've been waiting to have you on here for quite some time, my man. And it's been too long since we've talked outside of text. So, and also here is another longtime friend, way back since first grade. He's a good pal of mine. Is Nick McCucci. Nicholas.
Hello, Mike.
How we doing, sir? How we doing, sir, guys?
All right. Good. Very good.
So one thing that I wanted to do this because I feel like we can talk about stuff that we have experience with now. I wanted to do this not so much for any of us to air our dirty laundry, and that's not something we want to do here on this podcast. We are not here to speak ill of our exes. If they come up, they come up, but that's not what we're here for. We're here to talk about the dynamic between dads and daughters and being kind of on your own with it and what to do, what's kind of come up, what did you expect, what didn't you expect. This is a round table kind of thing. This is just kind of a casual chat. So one thing I didn't really know was how to kind of start this thing off. But what I want to start it off with, guys, is, you could give any background you want of yourself of anything of the sort. But really, if we want to go somewhere, when this thing kind of happens, divorce is a hideous thing in most cases. Some are better, some are worse. But for you, where you're at right now, basically, has it been as bad as? Is it worse? Is it better? Is it exactly as anticipated? Dan, I know you've going through this for quite some time. What about you? Where are you at with this now in your life? If you want to give any background on it, you're free to say whatever you'd like, buddy.
Okay. Well, as of now, like things between me and my ex are better than they ever have been, honestly. As you know, we got together when we were teenagers, and we just kind of grew apart after we got married and had kids already, and we decided to make the best of it for the kids and do whatever it took to get along. And honestly, things were tough at first, and they just got better over time. We really have kept quite a close bond, and we do a lot of stuff with the kids together, and they're thriving. So
cool. So when you were in your, lowest point, because we all hit a low point during this.
Yeah. Sure.
We all do. It's very low. And, given in that moment to where you are now, would you say that you're in a better place consistent?
I feel like, they always say like, you got to hit your bottom before you can rise.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like you plateau sometimes, as you understand, but I think steadily, as an individual and as a parent, I've done so much for myself, and I know you have for yourself as well. So I feel like I've only gotten better.
Yeah.
And like she's gotten better. The kids are thriving. Like everybody's doing so well right now. So it's hard to complain about the outcome.
It's a beautiful thing to hear. That's
right.
Something else, like we said, we want to kind of put this out here for maybe somebody that's about to go through this process, is feeling like this process might be coming. They're in it. They're in our position or whatever. But Nick, what about you, man? where you're at. I know we're all kind of different, right? We don't have to get as specific with our own situations,
Right.
but Nick, where you're at right now, and is this from when it happened? Do you feel like right now it's better? Do you feel like you're kind of still in the thick of it? Where do you feel?
Um, I would say overall, because it's been pretty much 2 years since my divorce like was finalized, but it obviously took longer than that through the whole process. But um, in this current state right now, I would say that I feel like I've grown from the whole experience. I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about my kids, kind of life outside of the core unit family, um, and learning how to adapt to that. And because, I felt like my whole world and my kids' world was turned, upside down. And it's like, it's very hard to recover and, be a successful father figure and dad to your kids when the foundation is pulled right out from under you, and it's hard to recover from it. And um I've also gone through a lot of health related things that I had to simultaneously, well, it was not simultaneously, but I would say about a year after my divorce occurred, that it's like a whole shitstorm came at once with my health and getting open heart surgery and having a pacemaker and um just getting a new girlfriend, a year ago. So it was kind of, going on dates with other women, trying to get back into the dating scene, trying to, take breaks when I could just to work on myself and to um kind of learn from the experience, try to better myself. So I think on a maturity mental level, I'm in a much better place now. I'm in a much happier place now than where I was um at the very beginning of the decline per se. But
Right.
um I it's difficult. Do you miss something? Sure. I mean, you miss, like I had to sell my house, so it's like, I miss having my own house, and I had a very, very good interest rate on it, and so that kind of sucked. But it's like I'm not gonna, there's certain sacrifices that you have to make as a dad and for yourself in order to move on with your life and start that next chapter and try to make sure your kids are mentally progressing and are not falling into a pitfall trap where they can just, fall into that depression where I have a feeling like my older daughter, like it's very hard to gauge her mental wellness right now. And it's like, and I'm sure we might talk about that later in the podcast, but yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Yeah, we could talk about any of that. Anything you guys want to share on here is free game
Mhm.
if you'd like, and who knows? Who knows listening, who could ever reach out for anybody here. But yeah, to kind of like build off what you guys have said, highs and lows throughout it all. If I was definitely in the gloom and doom of it all, I thought that it was going to be a horrible, horrible thing financially, emotionally, more for my kids than anybody. And yeah, kind of like what you were saying, Nick, about that family unit that you just sort of always thought you would have in your life. And you see it happen around you. You see it happen to people, and you never think it's going to be you, but sure enough, it happens. And so to
Mhm.
answer my own question, it's been better, I think, than I thought it would be, which is great because the kids are doing great. Number one, clear cut. That's the main reason. I'm getting along with my ex. We get along together, co-parent as best we can. We have this very healthy distance right now, which is not a knock on her or me. I think that it's just what we needed. We'd been together 23 years, married for 12. So I think there came that point to where separation and distance was just needed, and there was no way out of it. There was just no way around it. It was just, there's a higher power out there, there's a feeling, there's a gut feeling that we get. Logically, everything looks something on paper, but there's feelings involved that just are different. And
Mhm.
I think that's something that you just can't fight that. And I think kids pick up on it. They're not They're not stupid.
Yeah, they definitely pick up on that stuff.
Yeah,
for sure.
they do. Even if you think
Yeah.
you're hiding it and masking it, I believe that the kids
Yeah.
still do pick up on it. But both of my daughters, there had been some, oh, well, why are we doing this? Why is it like this?
Right.
My older
They're gonna
daughter,
have questions, right?
yeah. My younger
Kids.
daughter, shockingly, my younger daughter more than my older, believe it or not.
Hmm.
So she's 7, and she said some things like, "Oh, why can't we all just live together? Or why can't we all? Me, my papa, grandparents, everybody, let's all live together." Like, all right, we know how you're feeling there, kid. But my older daughter's been just taking it. Yeah, I could. She even asked straight up, "Yeah, I can handle this." She says, "I can handle this." I'm like, okay, what 10-year-old says that?
Mhm.
Just
Yeah.
like, geez.
So let me tell you a little. Can I
Yeah.
chime in here? Let me
Go
tell you a
ahead.
little story about. I think it was was it last weekend or 2 weekends ago, where my older daughter's softball, one of her softball games, and it was like 2 weeks ago, and it was my ex's birthday, and my younger daughter was sitting next to her in the lawn to watch the game, and I went up to her, gave her a hug, and I kind of gave her a little side cheek kiss, just as a like happy birthday. And it's like, and now, my younger daughter was like, "Oh, daddy kissed you." Like, oh, like
Mm.
that's like, can he do that? Or is that weird?
Mm.
And she had the decency to explain to her, well, we both did that, it's okay to still, we're still, Danny and I are still friends. He's still, I'm still your mom, he's still your dad, and it will always be like that. So it was kind of a nice little moment, one of the, one of the good moments that she was able to see
Mhm.
in all the aftermath. But that's just an example of something
Oh,
that
that's
was good to,
Yeah.
that's
for an 8-year-old to see,
Yeah, no, that's a really good thing. And that's like kind of one of the main things, like, when you go through this, and it's one of the hardest things for people, but one of the main things is to not show aggression and anger in front of the kids with the ex. That's like rule number one, right,
Yeah.
Dan? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's something you just got to like put away. And it's sad because, like Nick, you'd mentioned too, like when you started out with this whole thing and you started dating again. And I'd got into that myself for a little bit before I'd met my current girlfriend. And I remember dating somebody that they, and this is common, they could not, her and her soon to be ex, they could not talk outside of an app. They had to use a monitored app to talk. And
Mm.
literally, like, there was he keyed her car, and this guy was like, I don't know, there's two sides, right?
Right.
So
Right.
Right.
you're all these different sides, and who knows, but all I can say from that short experience was that, wow, that seemed very nasty. This is somebody that probably shouldn't be
Mhm.
dating right now at all, given this,
Yeah,
you
for
just
sure.
so that's one of the main things on that end of stuff, as far as in front of the kids with the ex, so and I think I know I have, and I'm sure you guys have been overall. You guys say you think you've done pretty well with that, as far as in keeping the drama and the aggression away from the kids. I think that's something I've done well with.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like it, you know, like I said, the kids, they read into it, like that they see everything that you're doing, what you're saying, and they can kind of sense your emotions, and I think they mirror that. So like from my experience, when we first kind of separated, it was really weird, obviously very emotional, and you could kind of tell looking back, like I didn't notice in the moment because I was distraught, but like you could tell looking back that like they just weren't themselves. They had that lull where they were uneasy about things, their anxiety was up, they weren't interested in anything. And then, the past few years, things have been so good that they've really come out of their shells each.
No, that's great, man.
Yeah.
That's all you can hope for with this, is that you
Right.
actually end up like, divorce has such a bad connotation to it.
It does. Absolutely.
And that it's hard. And still to this day, it's still hard because it's so ingrained in us, because we've grown
Yeah.
up to see the nuclear family and because write it out. Nick and I, especially, we went to Catholic schools, and
Mhm.
we were kind of like, oh, matrimony is a sacrament. You don't bust that up.
Yeah.
But that's something. And Dan, I actually basically lived vicariously watching you go through this with her because
Mhm.
you know, to just a timeline of it all. Dan was my neighbor, lived right next door to me,
Yep.
and I basically sat with him and saw things and went through it so with him a bit. And boy, you know, I said, man, I wouldn't wish this on anybody what he's going through.
Mhm.
And then quietly knowing inside of me that it was very possible to happen for me. So, but as you can see right now, we are on the outside of it
Mhm.
and thriving and doing a lot better. And so are the exes, which is good, right?
Yep.
Oh, it's all you can ask for. That's all you can ask for this stuff. I mean, that's really what
You would
matters.
hope you would hope that like that's what I hate to hear the couple that you just explained earlier that like it doesn't have to be so volatile. It just doesn't have to. I don't understand
Yeah,
how someone could be so out of touch with their emotions to let it get that bad.
I've read so many horror stories of divorce and going through the process, post-divorce experiences. I've read horror stories about financially with
oh,
lawyer fees. I've like men spending like $250,000. Like I just can't even grasp. I can't even put my mind around
Mhm.
that.
it's awful.
And
It's
I feel like
it's
we all can. I feel like we all can think of somebody in our immediate family or friends who has gone through an experience like that,
oh yeah, yeah.
which
They
is sad. It's sad because you see it. You see what it does to a family.
absolutely. It's
yeah,
it's terrible when it gets that bad, you know. So I just think that it's you know there should be a way like you know Dan, you've gone on trips right with your
We do still. Yeah,
you
we
still
do at
do
least 1 or 2 trips a year as a family. And like Taylor, should bring her boyfriend with the last couple ones and we get along really well. He's a good dude. He's good with the girls. He's good to Taylor and everything,
good.
everything just goes well. Because I've, especially if it's a family trip with her side, because I've been a part of the family since I was 17, no, 16 years old.
Right.
So to me, I've known them more than I haven't, and I'm still family, to them and vice versa. And we all stay close.
Right.
I know it's a weird dynamic to explain to people, and a
Yeah.
lot of people don't understand it, but I don't really give a
yeah. I don't
shit.
think my ex and I are quite there yet.
No, and not and right.
And you don't have to be like
Yeah,
that doesn't have to be the standard. It's just
yeah.
No.
how it worked out for
No,
us.
when it works for you, every case and situation is different, and if that works well for you
Yeah.
guys, it's I guess I'm hoping we can get there someday. Just might take a little bit more time. And comfort levels vary, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah,
Like
absolutely.
the girls are for me like the girls are gonna get old. They're getting older already, in another 10, 11 years before they're out of high school, and who knows where they end up going.
yeah.
I don't, maybe we won't stay as close then, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's everything's evolving, right? Everything evolves and
It's
changes.
evolves, right.
Mhm.
That's all that it does. So, you know, that's all you can do
Hmm.
is just keep letting things evolve and go from there. You know, that's really it. So you know, I wanted to get to another point here. We kind of spent a lot of time here talking about how to get through that part, and we didn't want to spend too much time on that, just because what we want to talk about next is like the dynamic with your girls now, the good stuff, you know, the struggles too, but like the good stuff. Like, for instance, like what are you guys like? What are you finding good about this dynamic about, you know, because I'll tell you straight up, I'll start with this one a little bit. Like there was a time when marriage was failing and I knew it. Okay. So I was doing a lot with my daughters, just the three of us. And for some reason I felt like a loser. Like I felt like this fucking loser dad that just is on his own. And I wasn't even divorced yet during this. And it was really crappy. And I didn't like it because of the dynamic of what was going on at home.
Hmm.
But I absolutely love the dynamic. I loved the daddy daughter dates that we do. And
Okay.
it's become this like really fun dynamic. I have, you know, I mean, not to control, but like I can kind of do my thing and it's good. And it's not, and again, to reiterate, that's not to not say not not to knock my ex, you know what I'm saying? But like,
Right.
it's become this really fun thing. So, that's just something that for me that like has become this fun thing. We plan these daddy daughter dates. We talk about where we're gonna go eat, what we're gonna do, how much crap
Mm.
they're gonna buy at Five Below, and that's just been something for me. What about you, Dan? How about you? Like, what do you guys do? You guys do anything fun,
So
or do you have anything that's good from this with your relationship with them?
yeah, like I guess I'm so blessed because like we live 5 minutes apart. So even the weeks that I don't have the girls, the bus stop is still at my house. So like I still get to see my daughters like on my off weeks.
Right.
But then I still have those weeks. Like if I want to go do something and explore, hobby or friends or a relationship, I do have that kind of time for myself, which I've always felt is important. Even within a relationship, you still need some time for yourself as an individual.
Yep.
So I have selfishly enjoyed my little free time that I get. But I would say with the girls, me and their mom have such different hobbies that like when they go to mom's house, they do different hobbies with her, and then they come here and we do our own thing. So we kind of all, we do our own things separately with the girls, and it's kind of special to us then.
Yeah, no, that's it's kind of a cool dynamic like that. And I'm similar to you to where I will, here and there on my off weeks, I will pick them up from school or because I'm right by the school and I have a more flexible schedule. So I do get
Mhm.
to see them and it does help because it kind of alleviates that big, like, oh, I really miss these kids 'cause I have not seen them in almost a week here because we do
Mhm.
week on, week off. Are we all, Nick, are you week on, week off?
Hmm. In the summer I am. However, during the school year, um, Sunday night through Tuesday night, they're with my ex,
Mhm.
and then Wednesday. So I always get them Wednesday and Thursday overnight, and then Friday, Saturday is rotating every other.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, that's another common way to go about it. I guess it
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
depends on where everyone's located and all that. So, but Nick, what about you? What do you got anything
Yeah.
with this you and the girls that's kind of special that you kind of like to do?
Try to. I mean, they're mostly glued to their devices all the time. It's kind of unfortunate, but I tried. I think I, now that I've been with my girlfriend a year, and it's like they get along really well with her two kids, and we all try to go together and to like especially during the summer, like we would go to like Cantini, we would go downtown to
Mhm.
like the beach, the dog beach. Take them out to dinner, try to go to like fairs, try to do something, to see any events that's going on. Um, it's a lot easier, obviously, when it's warmer outside, but
Sure.
I being active in the sports with my older daughter, my younger daughter, we're trying to get her to join in, do an activity, do a sport, but she's like,
Yeah.
so. It's just barely, it's just getting them off the devices and because it's like they're constantly on the devices and
Oh, yeah.
that's becoming a problem, and it's,
Mhm.
I have a few, even my ex has admitted to me that the girls, all they want to do when they're at her apartment is be couch potatoes and be on their devices and play Roblox all day.
Yeah.
Um, and, you know, she's like, it's pulling teeth. They don't want to ever do anything. So, because that kind of leads down the road. It's like, I've asked my older daughter, Alessandra, it's like, are you doing okay? How are you, handling, the separation of our lives now? I know it's been 2 years and, she's like, no, I'm doing okay. It's been 2 years. I'm used to it. But she's up, but and then, subconsciously though, I think that there's something else that's going on,
Sure.
and I don't know if it's a result of being a preteen.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
It could just
Could
be,
be.
it could be that, I don't know, because there's it's a lot because you don't know
mhm.
the details and everything like that. But this could be something that is just something that would have happened even if you stayed married. So,
Yeah.
you
And
know,
it's
Mhm.
like and it's like my, I live with my parents because again, so my house, my dad, is very sick. So it's like I've been here for, a couple of years now, and it's like the kids go to school in this area. So, they love where they go to school. They've made so many friends here. Um, but it's like I feel like she's, and again, could be a result of being a pre-teenager, developing an attitude. I was always raised where it's like you got to kiss your parents goodbye when you leave to go to school, leave to go somewhere, say something just to acknowledge, like, hey, love
Hmm.
you. Because, it's like, I hate to, reiterate what my mom has said, but it's like, you might not see us again. You might not ever
Yeah,
see us again.
right.
So it's
It's
like, don't regret not saying goodbye. And it's like, I don't want to like force that on my kids, but it's like, there is some level of respect and, that everybody, even kids should have for their parents, for their grandparents, and, and cut out the freaking attitude.
right.
It's
No,
a,
Hmm.
it's true. And everything you said, it sounds like you have a good direction going. I mean, that's just my opinion because I
mm,
believe in all of that. And the devices was actually something that, you sparked another topic for me here because wow. I don't know because that is a problem. And I think it's, a
mm,
problem with the youth especially, but I mean, we're pretty bad ourselves as adults. Not saying it's not saying us in
yeah,
general, but I mean, I'm always like I'm a fidgety guy. I have a lot of ADHD and a bit of anxiety myself and I don't know. Sometimes, you pick up that phone just to swipe it around, do something with your hands. I should replace it with a fidget spinner sometimes, I think, but I'm also
Hmm.
just blindly scrolling and numbing my brain. It's unfortunate. Dan, how are your girls with the, if you don't mind asking? So mine are, I would say mine are mediocre to probably need to do a little better. That's what I'd say. What about you?
Yeah, I think sometimes I would agree with that. Because sometimes like if you let them just go, they'll sit on the thing for hours. You know what I mean? Like they have done, we definitely had days like that. Like you're gonna have those days, but
Mhm.
for the most part, I try and cap it off with them. Like, well, if they're on it, if I'm starting to feel like they've been on it too long,
Yeah.
I'll tell them to like, okay, let's take a break for a little bit. Like, go do
yeah,
something. Go. You still got a playroom to play in. Like, if you want to, if we got free time, if we're doing something or nothing on the weekend, and
go
we're
read a
sitting
book.
around, like, let's
No.
yeah, like let's go out. Let's get out of the house and do something.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Like we'll
No.
go do something and like Nick said, they'll you try and get them to do something and they whine and they're like, oh, they pout and they
hmm
don't do it. Sometimes you just gotta like literally just tell them to like get in the truck and like we're gonna go.
That's
hmm
it.
We're gonna
Yeah.
go do something fun. That's what I tell them.
yeah,
Sometimes I don't even know what the hell we're gonna do. We just like get in the truck and I'll start driving and I'm like, oh yeah, let's go bowling or like in the
hmm
summer, like let's go mini golf or whatever. Like, go get ice cream. Walk
yeah,
around downtown St. Charles or something.
Yeah,
Just
because you know what's good about that? Because what you're doing is you're conditioning them for a little bit of spontaneity, and
yeah.
that I think a lot of people can get into a rhythm of just doing the same shit over and over again. And if you try to like
Mhm.
rattle that as they, as people grow
yeah.
older, the more they've been accustomed to the same shit, when you try to like do something spontaneous, they get scared and they get uncomfortable. So I think that's a really good way to go. I mean, I keep
Mhm.
my older daughter's in dance 3 times a week. She's reading books. They'd like to get outside, ride their bikes with their friends down the street.
Yep.
So, it's a good balance. I think. I still think it's even with that, even with the balance, I still think sometimes it's excessive. But, it depends what they're doing on it too. I know that
Right.
like
Yeah, and you got to monitor it.
monitor. Yeah, you got to be. I got to be careful.
Yep.
And sometimes there's differing opinions too between
Mhm.
exes and yourself.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
A good example of that. So Alessandra has a cell phone. She goes to junior high now. It's like, okay, you're old enough to have a cell phone. You're only, you're not, obviously they can't use it during school hours, but it's like this is not a toy. It's to be used in case of an emergency or you need, you're stranded or if somebody needs to pick you up or whatever it may be. And she lied to me the other day about having Snapchat installed, and I can obviously see what apps are on her phone with the Family Link
Hmm.
app. So it's like, why, you lied to me about having Snapchat. So it's like, then you get into a discussion with your ex. It's like, okay, well, are you comfortable having Snapchat? Because I know what happens on Snapchat. So
Mhm.
it's like, And it's like, well, I don't see what the big deal is. You know, cousins have it, her friends have it. I'm like, okay, well, it's like I think we need to really monitor that very closely. It's like I'm not very comfortable because I'm trying to be that protective father, and it's like I know what fucking goes on Snapchat.
Yeah, I
And what
feel
and how things disappear on Snapchat.
yeah.
Whether
I
it's video, photos, it's like you got to
it,
set the, you know, it's a hard, you know, sometimes when there's disagreements, that's like yeah, that's it's a hard topic to approach, and it's hard to resolve, and I feel like that's been more challenging with divorce, is one of the more
Mhm.
challenging things when you don't agree on something,
yeah.
as parents, as co-parents. So
Well,
um,
yeah, because what you want to avoid is that butting of heads. In a lot of
mhm,
ways, you want to keep the you don't want to challenge each other as you want to try to work together, and you also don't want to become you don't want ever your kids to ever take a like a thought process either of like, hey, this my dad's doing all this or my mom's doing all this. Wait a minute, are they just trying to one up each other on us? Because like you don't
mhm.
ever want them to feel that. Like that's one thing I said. Uh, to my ex right before everything kind of like got to where it needed to be was, hey, look, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna do my best to be present with these girls, have fun, do some fun things, and that's really it. I'm not trying to one up you or become the more liked parent. I think that's another thing. If you have an ex or whatever, whoever you're co-parenting with, in you yourself, anybody, we should not try to be the liked parent, And I'm never going to be because I think Nick, you're probably in the same boat as me, where you're maybe more the stricter one, maybe the one more
Oh,
feeling
absolutely.
feeling like you got to look out. Dan, do you feel
Mhm.
like you're that in there, or is it the other way around?
I'm definitely the
No,
fun one.
hey, that's all right. Hey, we're all different,
Right.
we balance it out, I'm sure, well enough because I know those girls have fun with you, and
They do.
that's all
We're
good.
safe. We're safe. But yeah, I definitely try and
Yeah,
push a little more boundaries.
that's all right. So like, what is it's like to kind of like we know what the fun is, right? We're just dads. It's a hard dynamic sometimes. It seems like everyone always wants their mom more. It's a hard thing to be a dad sometimes because I do feel like the kids, sons or daughters, whoever it is, they always seem to want their mom more. It just that's maybe it's just me, but it just seems like a thing, like in
Yeah, I
general, in
mean,
humans in
they
general.
say the same sex parent is usually the biggest role model in like the same sex child's life,
Yeah, it
you
makes
know.
total sense, of
But
course, but they're still looking at us too. So,
absolutely.
that brings me to this. And how do you guys handle the girls' stuff? Hair, makeup, if they want to do that stuff, if they you know, how to dress, all this stuff, because I'm lost as shit. I'll tell you that. Like I try. I've been bald for about 15 years, so I don't even have my own
Mhm.
hair. So, Nick, what about
Yeah.
you? What do you do? What is
So
yours? You getting
I kind of one of the advantages of living with my parents, my mom usually takes care of that for me. And I'm
yeah, yeah.
like, I can buy whatever you need me to buy, but if you need more feminine products, I will go out and buy you more. But
It's a good gig.
Nini can help you with whatever,
Yeah, and
with
there's no
that.
shame in that, man.
Yeah.
That's just a great, like you take your situation living at home with your parents with your
Hmm.
kids there. Society sucks, and they'll look at it as a
Yeah.
certain way. But who could fuck them? You're
Right.
a doing what's best for you financially, doing what's
Hmm.
best for your kids,
Doing what's,
and
yeah, that's number
and
one to
right,
me.
and you know what? In a sense, I'm sure your parents have grown to a closer bond with their granddaughters over during this
Yeah.
time. I'm sure it almost has
Hmm.
to, because it's a
Yeah.
peaceful place.
Well,
So
they've
yeah,
also, they've also, have become, I think they're a little, can be a little irritated sometimes when there's disrespect thrown around, but
sure,
with the kids. But, um, yeah, I mean, my girlfriend also like does a lot of the girly stuff with them too,
nice.
with their hair and nails and stuff. So, I think, and they've also become like my older daughter's become more self-sufficient too with like putting on makeup and taking care of, that
Yeah,
time of the month. But uh
sure. We'll get to that in a minute.
yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, that's what I was saying. Like my older daughter too is. And Dan, what about you? Especially when they were younger and this like hair, makeup, nails, things like
Mhm.
that, dresses, things that girls need, underwear buying, things that we don't really know anything about. How did that all go for you?
Well, like I think both of my girls are really self-sufficient. Like their mom helps them so much anyway, so that I'm pretty hands off with that stuff with them.
Yeah.
Like I'll see like what they dress in,
Yeah.
and if but other than that, like yeah, I don't really have to be too involved. I make sure they have all the everything they need,
Yeah.
like their this necessities, all their
Right.
soaps and toothbrush, toothpaste, and flossers and rinse and all that stuff. So, and we make sure that like they're doing all that stuff. Now that I'm paying for their dentist bills, it's like, you know,
Yeah.
I'm definitely on top of them with all of that, so they're well taken care of, and dude, they're like, I'm sure with like, especially with Daniela, but like Peyton has, she has a nightly skincare routine. She's 11 years old and she's already like worrying about her skincare
Yeah.
routine.
Daniela's
I'm
has
like,
some of that going on too. It's just like,
I'm
give
cool
her,
with that. I mean,
that's awesome.
I think it's good.
I give her a kiss goodnight, and I'm like, "What's that smell?" She's like, "Oh, that's my skin lotion or something." I'm just like,
Yeah.
"All right, well,
Okay.
great.
All right.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's fine with me." Yeah, like I don't know, like I don't know, it's just like just some of this stuff is just like, what do I do? Like, and then I remember once, was it, I don't know, maybe within the last year or so, she showers herself, but one time I caught a glimpse, and you start seeing things formulating. I don't know.
There you go.
They're starting to become women, basically.
Developing.
Mhm.
Developing. That's the word.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nick. Yeah, I was at a loss for that one. But yeah, developing, and holy shit, is that like that just sends a weird feeling. It's a
Yeah.
uh-oh, like it's like it's a little bit of a panic, but it's also like a little bit of a sadness because your little
Yeah.
girl is becoming,
Baby's growing up.
becoming a woman, and
Yeah.
boy, and to me that's the stage I think that's coming up that's going to be the most challenging personally. I don't know, I haven't researched it yet.
Mhm.
I'm actually afraid of it a little bit. And that's just then it goes for not just girls but for boys too, because those years, man, I tell you, those years, that 14 or 13 or 14 up to 18, that is such a impressionable year. That is years that is where they can make or break their lives in some cases. If they get wrapped up with the wrong people, they start
Yeah.
they start taking in traumas the wrong way. They get involved in drugs, and again, that's where Nick comes in with wanting to monitor things like Snapchat. And
Right.
we got to know what's going on. The amount of access, no parent, our generation is the first generation, I think, that has really had to deal heavily with this influx of social media and
Yeah.
the way that people can reach your kids through YouTube videos, through TikToks,
I
through
know.
It's such a dangerous, it's such a dangerous place, dangerous playground.
yeah,
Just
and
the social media, the internet in general, like
Oh.
just the sheer amount of content. And it's like YouTube, like reels on YouTube. It's like my 8-year-old's looking at reels on YouTube, on our tablet, and I'm like, okay, like this, it's like I can only control so much, like
Right.
when they're with me, and it's
Mhm.
like I just don't know what to do. It's like besides blocking apps, it's like
Yeah.
and of course then it's like I'm the bad cop,
Right.
it's,
Right. You're not fun. And
right.
then they don't know any better. So then you feel like
Mhm.
your relationship is becoming strained. And then maybe mom doesn't care as much. And then, oh
Right.
no, that's the favorite parent. And then you're in this competition we just talked about that we wanted to avoid.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you, you mentioned Roblox, guys. And I have Roblox on my I jump in from time to time just to see what's going on and say hello. And there was a game in there. There was a game in there, and it was a drawing game.
Mhm.
And what it was is about, I don't know, 7 or 8
Yeah.
people in the game. So it was me and my 2 daughters in the game and 5 other strangers. And what they do is everybody, they give somebody something to draw. Okay.
Mhm.
And everybody has to draw their version of it. They get like 2, 3 minutes to draw it. Then they show all of the different drawings and everybody rates the drawings. So you see
I think I
everybody's drawing.
see where this is
Yeah.
going.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The drawing was a house. Okay. So, all right, everyone does their drawing. All right. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Everyone's going to show their house. So bam. First image is a house. Second image is a house. Third image is a house. Fourth image is a house. Fifth image is a giant dick with hairy balls. Then
Yep.
another house,
Mhm.
another house, another house.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit. Like, your
Right.
mind goes to two places. Is this an online predator, a pervert, or is this just another stupid kid
Mhm.
being an idiot? Which is probably what it was. But either way,
Sounds like something I would have done at 13.
yeah, exactly. Like, and I'm
Yeah.
saying, like, what are you gonna do now? My kids right in front of me have seen a cartoon dick. I look up from the screen and I'm like, oh fuck, how do I explain this?
Right,
Will.
right.
You know, and I'm talking. This was a year or two ago, even, and so they're even younger.
Mhm.
It's like I don't know how to handle that, but you know, you just kind of say, yeah, you see that? Okay, well, don't look at that anymore. Or I don't know.
Right.
I don't know where to handle from that. You just say we got to be careful in these games.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's you can't restrict that because it's not flagged content as adult or anything like that.
Mhm.
It
I
gets
know
through.
that's the
So you can't really get there. But you know, Nick, you said something about and this is the dreaded word of the show with a period.
Mhm.
I don't know anything what to do. So, and like I said, guys, this is personal information. You don't have to tell anybody or me or anyone if your daughter has hit that mark yet. Mine have not, but I am sitting there wondering how to do
coming.
it. It's coming. I guess all I can do is be prepared.
And
And
most likely it'll probably come at school when they're at school, when she's at school.
there's probably a good chance of that, school or
Mhm.
camp or a dance or something like that when she's by herself. So I believe her mother is giving her some pointers on it, which is good. I believe
It's good. Yeah.
Dan, have you been down that road or having a plan for that at all?
Yeah, I mean, she's not there yet, but we've definitely talked to her about it already. So like she's fully aware of it and she knows what it is, why it is, how it is. And we both are prepared at each house, regardless of which house she's at. You know, if she's here, her mom was like, if that happens at your house, call me, I'll come over and we can talk to her about it. But no, I think she's prepared for it.
Good,
They're
good.
right around the corner from
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Now, are you guys planning, since it hasn't not occurred yet, when it inevitably does occur, uh, will you be simultaneously, well, I mean, I don't know if you explained it fully yet, but will you also be having the talk with them?
What do you
Because
mean?
that's what
Like the pregnancy talk about sex,
the sex talk.
the sex talk?
Yeah.
That's a good question, Nick. I have
Yeah.
not I've not crossed that bridge yet. Really.
Mhm.
I just still, she's 10 and the other one's 7. So I still just don't even feel like it's on the damn radar yet.
Mhm.
But I might be a little naive on that. So you raise a good
Mhm.
point. And it does sound like a conversation I need to have. What about you, Dan?
Yeah, no, I think that Nick is right in that I think the timing kind of makes sense anyway. Like
Mhm.
I don't know for sure if my 11-year-old is aware of she might be aware of sex in general, but might not understand what it really means.
Mhm.
Right.
Um, you know, but yeah, that's definitely a conversation. Like we're very open with the girls about everything and we just want them to feel prepared. So, that's a conversation we'll have and for our opinion on what is appropriate and what is not appropriate. And
Right.
we've told both girls in general, like nobody should ever touch you inappropriately.
Mhm. Mhm.
Nobody should ever touch you inappropriately. Anybody.
Right.
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 So
I have that conversation at night. Not every night, but at least a couple times a week. I don't go that far into it because I don't want
okay.
to cause any alarm. That's a difference. Like that's like a one-time conversation kind of thing. But like I do a check with them a little bit. I just kind of ask, hey, is everyone nice to you at school? You
Yeah, right,
comfortable?
right.
You feel safe at school? Do you feel comfortable at school? Are you being nice to everybody? Because
Mhm.
you don't want your daughter or your son or whoever to be bullied or be the bully.
Yeah.
So, so I kind of do like a little check with them and I just kind of like pick up on, hey, maybe I'm hearing a different type of reaction here because they're probably always going to want to tell you it's fine because kids don't want to worry their parents. I don't believe. I believe they don't want
Mhm.
to feel like they're a burden in any way. So I feel like sometimes they lean to just saying everything's okay. But, you know,
Yeah, as long as you're asking the questions, they'll usually give it
Yeah, and I make sure I tell them, you can tell me anything. I'm not going to get mad. You're not going to be in trouble. That's the thing too. Like I
Right.
think that old school. I don't take that old school way of parenting really, like where you're going to get in trouble, you're scolded. I said, look, I'm your parent, but I'm your buddy too. That's what I tell them. And I said, you
Mm-hmm.
can tell me these things, and you're not going to get yelled at. You're not going to get in trouble.
Right.
The only way you're going to get in trouble is if you're hiding something from me that I need to know. That's really it. I
Yeah.
mean, that's lying and dishonesty, and we want to, keep these kids, free of being that, and then being, succumbing to that
And
sort of
honestly, like even in a moment like that, like from my experience growing up, it always like nothing like you as a parent could tell me that they were mad at me for something and it wouldn't really affect me much.
stuff.
But when my parents at different points in my life told me that they were disappointed in me,
Yeah,
then it was different.
right. It's
Yeah,
the
like
old,
yeah,
it's
that's different. So like
it's the old
saying
thing.
you're disappointed, I
Yeah,
think is
I agree with you because like there's a thing that goes around that says like if somebody, I don't know if you've seen the meme before, somebody like got cut off in traffic and instead of the middle finger they gave him a thumbs down. And he said that I don't know why that hit me so much
That's
harder.
funny.
That's exactly what it was because it was like instead of hey fuck you,
That
hey
hits
man,
harder.
I'm disappointed in your driving. I'm like, oh fuck, maybe I should do
Feels
better.
very proper.
I think that's kind of the way. That's the way that kind of goes. But I get it because sometimes that's the disappointment is a harder thing to deal with than angering somebody and riling somebody up.
Mhm.
People look. I mean, look at the internet now. Everyone's looking to trigger everybody and get everybody mad, but nobody
Yeah.
wants to be disappointed in. Like that's something they don't want. So I think that's a good way to go with it. It's just disappointing. It's like I think that'll help people understand or them kind of wow,
Mhm.
I didn't want to disappoint you, but like anger and yelling and conflict and that creates resistance, I think, right? And
Yeah.
hard shells, and I just don't
Right.
think that's the way to go.
Like he's talking about old school way of
Yeah,
parenting, like a threat of what do they call an empty threat, right?
yeah, right.
I
Empty
don't
threat.
think it's very effective.
No,
Obviously, it's not working. So
nor do I feel as if physical hitting or anything is worth it at all.
no.
Never would.
Yeah,
Son
that's
or daughter, right, Nick?
correct. Yeah, I mean, I think it's even been there's been studies where it's like it's not as effective as other types of punishment.
It's definitely not, and it's just causes. I think for the amount of if all right, look, if beating a kid, hitting a kid, I think it's a 1 in 10. Maybe is straighten them out. Maybe this is just me making up numbers, but I think the other
Mhm.
90% actually ended up being living in trauma and fear and
Mhm.
are worse off. They just don't know because that generation is sort of emotionally and stupid in some cases. I mean, not all of them, but like some of that generation is just they never really were where we were in with emotions. They just kind of are just like they don't know how to handle it. You know what I'm saying? Their intelligence
Yeah.
isn't there. So, that's something too, with the girls too. Hey, don't hide it. If you got to cry, you cry, right? If
Yeah,
you're mad,
right.
you talk about it. You find the right outlet for it. That's all you can do.
So
Have
And
you
what?
have either of you had a hard time getting them to open up though? Like, because I always say the same thing to my girls, like, please be open. Like, don't like talk through your feelings. Don't hold it in. You're not doing yourself any favors by pouting and whining. You gotta talk about it. Let's
yeah,
talk about it, right? And
well,
like, I still feel like I have to pry it out of my 7-year-old sometimes.
yeah,
But she's 7.
right. And my 7-year-old sometimes I'll catch her lying. Like, did you
Okay.
brush your teeth? Yeah. Did you brush your teeth?
Right.
No. Something like that. As far as prying it out and getting it out, you know what? What's unfortunate is my answer to that is the jury's still out on that because I feel I'm getting the straight answer right now. No, everything's fine. Everything's great because I'm not seeing any sort of behavior that's concerning me. And I see them smiling, laughing, and having a great time all the time.
Mhm.
So unless they're really suppressing something that deeply, then they're bamboozling me, and I don't know. But as far as I know, if they need to talk about something, they will. But they always seem to be okay. So that's a good question, Dan. And I really don't know, and it makes me want to actually like ask more. But I also don't want to pry too heavily because maybe they start to well, maybe something is supposed to be wrong. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah.
you got to
Yeah.
take their word for it. Nick, what do you think?
I feel like it's been a lot harder recently. once like my older daughter has shifted from like being the sweet innocent, kind of like third grader, fourth grader, and now she's like in middle school, preteen, and it's like I feel like the temperament, personality, the hormones are like, adolescent hormones. Like enjoy the time you have now with like the sweet little kid, because it's like there's that possibility like might happen to my daughter, like it's going to be a lot harder to pry feelings out. The attitude's gonna might surface. It's kind of like what I'm dealing with right now, and it's like I'm trying to get her to open up more, and it's been very difficult. And you get that feeling as a dad, it's like, okay, well, what am I doing wrong? Or it's like I feel powerless, and it's like I'm like a control guy. It's like I want to be in control of like my surroundings and what I enable to control 90% of the time. And it's like
Yeah.
this is one of the things where I feel like powerless, and it's like what can I do? I don't want to, the solution is like, well, maybe she should go to a therapist, maybe not. It's like I don't want to, I don't want to go down that road where she's going to resent me for sending her to therapy, and then it's like there's really nothing wrong. Or it's
Right.
like, she's like questioning, do I have depression? And she's told her mom that, and it's like, I try to ask her, is everything okay? Is there something going on you want to talk about? And it's like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Or it's like,
That's
yeah.
it's a tough situation. And
Really tough.
I'm not qualified to give you any sort of
Or
advice
it's
on
like
that.
I'm only happy, like I've heard this, like I'm only happy when I'm with my friends.
Yeah.
Or it's like, it's like, oh my God.
Is it just,
Uh,
yeah, you never know
is
though,
that
because
is that the preteen not talking, or or it's like, is there too many rules? It's like, oh, there's too many rules. There's so many rules in eating Papa's house.
yeah.
Okay, well, it's like you guys are children, and it's like there's rules in a household. It's like that need to be
Yeah.
followed. It's like it's like the house is not a jungle gym. It's like
Right.
it's things like that. It's like you can't just do what you want to do.
Right.
It's like it's not how it works.
And that's a struggle you
So
have that's unique to your situation
right.
because their mother is on her place and
Hmm.
you're there with two other people who have their own set of rules in place. So they
Right.
actually have three adults.
Hmm.
They're outnumbered at your house
Hmm.
and they're outnumbering the parent
Yeah.
at their mother's. So
Yeah.
that's a differing dynamic, and that puts you in a very tough situation like you're talking about. But I
Hmm.
guess focus on behavior, right? Like just if the
Yeah.
behavior overall seems okay, then maybe you could just go with that. If the behavior's sticking around, then maybe
Yeah.
that keep
And I
that at
said, good behavior gets rewarded, and it's like bad behavior doesn't. And it's
right.
like, you know, you can either have a nice dad, or you can have like a very like forceful, like um not aggressive, but I would say assertive, an assertive parent that is very dominant in his parenting style. It's like I don't think you guys want to see that side of me when there's bad behavior, if you guys don't listen.
Right.
And
And
it's like
you
and,
have to.
and it's like somebody has to play that role. And I don't know, my ex says that she does, punish the girls and stuff, but it's like I don't know, because I'm not in that environment. I don't live there.
Mhm.
So it's like I have to do, I can't always be your friend. I also have to be your dad.
Right.
So it's like, and I have to guide you in the right direction, and you also have to do A, B, and C. It's like you can't just be on the devices. You got to also do your homework. I don't force them to read every day, but it's like once in a while you're going to be picking up a book and reading a book,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it's like you guys, you know, this will help you later in life if you have a good education, and you guys actually learn in school, and not, you know, not goof off in school.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I feel like the dynamic has shifted a lot once going into that pre-teenage stage. Um,
Mhm.
so no
Yeah.
no pressure.
I know.
guys.
Jeez, right? Because yours,
Uh,
yeah, I mean, I think we all pretty much have the same, close to the same age daughters, right?
yeah.
11, 10 or
Have you
11.
guys seen, you probably have the new Inside Out 2
Yeah,
movie?
yeah, I just saw
Okay.
it. Yeah,
So like that's so on par, like exactly what you're talking about, Nick, with
Mhm.
like the emotion change. I really think a lot of it probably has to do with her, she's coming up to this
Hormones.
point. Like
Yeah.
the hormones are so they say, they change a lot and they're
yeah.
very
Mhm.
emotional.
And it
And
was good you brought up that movie because I just watched it with my younger daughter, and I have to
okay.
say they absolutely. I just watched it literally last week, and I have to say they absolutely nailed it because,
Yeah.
like, the first movie was 10 years ago when this was a
Mhm.
little girl, right? She was like
Hmm.
13 or 3 or 4 in the movie or something like that, and she had like some basic emotions like joy and
Yeah.
sadness and fear and all that. But then, like, all of a sudden in this new movie, four other emotions, the main one being anxiety, shows
Yep.
up in the movie, and boy, it really just like it portrays a really good picture of that teenage
Right.
girl mind and teenager mind in that sense. But yeah, no, great flick for sure. And then you start to see these emotions come out in them, and it's like, it's hard because you've got through it yourselves, and now you see your kid going through it. They're going through a tough emotion, whether it's sadness, embarrassment, anxiety,
Right.
whatever. It's like, ah, shit. I know how that feels, and you don't want to see your kid feeling like that. But like you said, Nick, the control is the hardest part. We want to control so much in our lives, and the kids
Mhm.
are most important, and they're not very able to be controlled because they're their own people. And the older they
Right.
get,
Yeah.
the more control you lose. And then all of a sudden they multiply. Now you got grandkids and you can't control them.
Right.
Fuck. And then I wonder, you wonder
Yeah.
why old people are so fucking anxious and shit. But you know, all of that and another dynamic that gets added into this is significant others that come into play.
Mm.
So, we don't have to touch too much on this, but what are you guys, where are you guys at with that? Like, did you have was there any pushback? Was there any weirdness? Was there any nerves going into introducing your kids to a new woman in your life? Dan, I know
Um,
I don't know where you're at with it right now, or if you have or not, or if you don't want to share it, you don't have to.
No, well, currently I'm not dating anyone. But I've definitely dated, since, over the duration of us having been separated and divorced.
Mhm.
And, um, I would say I have introduced the girls to two different women. Um, since the second one, it didn't go well, and I was like, you know what? I think it felt like I was rushing it because they didn't work out. And I was like, I don't want to keep confusing the girls. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I actually decided to not date for a while because I don't know, I just didn't feel right. I thought I'd focus on myself and the girls and then feel like I would eventually get back into it, which I have.
Good.
So now I go on dates, but I'm as my other friend would say, he calls me picky. I
You
don't
gotta be.
really, hey, I mean, maybe I am picky. I don't know. I don't give a
Should
shit.
be.
I
You
know
should
what
be
I'm
picky.
looking for in somebody, and I'm
Yeah,
willing to wait because
that's
I don't
great.
have to date anybody
No,
until I feel like it's right or until the girls are grown and gone.
exactly. And you don't have, and why not, why settle or why rush into something? Be picky as ever. This is, if
Right.
you're dating, especially if you're dating to find somebody to be with for the rest of your life and you want to get married again one day or even just be with them for the rest of your life, what the hell? Why not be picky? Why rush into something, try to force it versus wait it out? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Nick, what about you?
Yeah. So I have a terrible short-term memory, and it's like I can't remember exactly how I introduced or even when. Like I do remember it was about like 3 or 4 months into dating
Okay.
my current girlfriend. I didn't never introduce my girls to any of the other girls that I dated before I met my current girlfriend. Um but yeah, it must have been like 3 or 4 months. I can't remember if it was like, at like a softball game or for we just all like went, met up for dinner. I can't quite remember, but they were very receptive, and she's an element, or she's a middle school teacher, so she knows how to speak very well with children, obviously. So, I think the interaction worked out pretty well.
Yeah. How did the
Better than
girls?
I
How
better
did the
than I
girls take it?
expected.
How did the girls like? How did they respond to that? When do you remember how they responded
I
initially, or was
think
it just sort of like,
I think they were just like, oh, hi, hi, how,
okay,
nice to meet you, I
yeah,
think there was no animosity or any kind of hostility or
yeah,
any kind of pouting, saying, well, nothing like you're not my mom. No, none of that.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, good. That's
you know,
good to
it,
hear.
Mhm.
yeah. So eventually, I met her two children. Then the children met each other and they like hit it off instantly and
Oh, good.
started doing their own thing,
You were well
playing.
received. You were well received by her kids and all, and
Maybe at the beginning it was very kind of like a lot of the silent treatment,
maybe they're just
um,
it could just be uncomfortable,
yeah, yeah. I mean, it could be just in passing, like, hi, how, hi,
Yeah,
but they have warmed up to me,
good.
way, way more than from the beginning.
Yeah, that's
Um,
great.
yeah, so they even my kid, my younger daughter asked, "Oh, can we sleep over at Lauren's place, this weekend?" Oh, okay, sure. I'll ask her,
Yeah, well, that's great.
and because they want to hang out with the kids and they want to,
Right.
play on the Xbox or play, they
Yeah,
want to play outside or play with the dog and take the dog to the beach or whatever, go and do things,
right,
you
right.
know.
That's such a cool dynamic, that's something else that you don't think about, and I'll tell you, for me, I was, with all that, I was really nervous about that whole thing, so, um, basically, I have had a girlfriend now for over a year. She's amazing, absolutely amazing. You know, I couldn't believe what I met. So I was
Mhm.
just blown away by it. So she's unbelievable. Her name's Kathleen. She has been just fantastic through this whole thing. She's been through this. She's been someone that's helped me through my challenges and everything like that. And then she has recently met the girls, and it was awesome. She's so good with kids. She's her photographer for newborns. So
Mhm.
that's one thing that's her passion job that she does, and she's really good at it. So she was so good with the girls, great with the kids, and the kids opened up to her almost right away. And she even met my ex, and they had a good meeting, and they talked, and they had a fine time. So it
Mhm.
really went just very smooth. So I was
Yeah.
nervous about it, just in general, because it's a different type of situation. How are the kids going to handle it? What are they going to think? How's this going to go? And once again, sometimes just this is where I'm going with this. All is a lot of times things are so built up in our heads that they're going to be this catastrophic moment, or not catastrophic, but like
Yeah.
it's just this big
We
deal.
gravitate to the worst case scenario.
Yeah, we gravitate, or we
Hmm.
just don't know, or so uncertain
Mhm.
that we get so
Hmm.
Yeah.
nervous about it that it's really not that big a deal. So,
Yeah.
and that was me, and I'm not going to lie. I thought that, and I think that too on the other end of things. When my ex does get a serious boyfriend, what is this? I'm going to be nervous mostly because, hey, this better not be a piece of shit, basically.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
I care about the well-being
Yeah,
of the
you're
girls.
thinking about the kids.
And I'm
Yeah.
in a position right now where I could tell you that I honestly, truly hope that she does find somebody that's great for her and good to the kids. I really believe that too, and I can say that even after there's been some nastiness in the past between us.
Mhm.
So I mean that, and I do, and I hope that that she finds somebody that's got a someone with the kids. I like that the dynamic you talked about, Nick,
Hmm.
where they're like friends with the kids, and my girlfriend has a couple boys herself, and we're gonna intro soon. We haven't done that yet, but that's the plan, and I hope things
Yeah.
go. I'm sure things will go just fine.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, that's another thing. When it comes down to significant others, as long as you are, let's say, I'd say for most people is you got to be first of all over your ex, basically, to
Right.
which is that's all good on this end here. So you have to be over that, and then
Mhm.
you just you have to just make sure that hope that this is a good person. That's really it. That's all you can do, right?
Mhm.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, we all care about, the well-being, I'm sure of our children's mother. And it's like you don't want, like you said, you don't want to see them unhappy or with a piece of shit that's
exactly,
gonna treat them like shit. and it's
Right.
like everybody deserves happiness, and it's like my girlfriend has met my ex-wife, and I again went better than expected, and
Good.
it's like because you drop the pre-meeting scenario in your head, and it's like it's not what really happened. So and we're all adults as well.
Right.
I
Precisely.
think it's important if you're gonna bring the kids around somebody that like you genuinely care about, if you really are happy with that person and then you bring the kids around and they'll see, we talked about earlier about how the kids pay attention. They'll see and feel how like the happiness in you. And I think that that helps them become more
Oh
accepting,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh,
And trusting
100%.
your opinion and your judgment on that call. So
Yeah, and I'd like to think that's, how they view me when I'm with my girlfriend and when they've seen me, and
mhm.
they hear how I talk about her, and all good things. And it was
Mhm.
it's been a blessing, to be honest with you. So, you just,
Yeah.
when you get divorced and, get out there and you're starting to go back out into things, and you're meeting some questionable individuals as things things go in the dating world, as a lot of
Mhm.
people now, it's
Yeah.
in age 35, 40, wherever we're at, you people have baggage now. They have trauma. It's not like dating when you're 16, 17, 21.
Right.
They have
Yeah.
baggage, and the baggage is more than just kids. It's traumas,
Mhm.
it's insecurities, it's distrusts, that the
Yeah.
dishonesty, that it's all built in, and that people are a little more standoffish and flaky. And then you also get the whole, like, revolving door of humans on these apps, that you could just,
Mhm.
who to trust with the phone, and all that stuff. But
Right. Right.
you just find the right person, and you'll know when you do. I think you'll just know. I think you'll know when you do. That's the way. That's just the
Yeah.
way it is. I think there's an unexplained feeling inside, and that's what I got when I met Kathleen. And I swear that she's an answered prayer from, I don't
And
know.
you met her online, right?
Yeah, Hinge.
Yeah.
I actually
Nice.
I opened up my radius because I wasn't having good luck, and I
Hmm.
said, all right, I'll go a little further. She lives in
Hmm.
Cedar Lake, Indiana, which
Hmm.
is a little over an hour from me. So I don't
Okay.
remember what the mileage was that I put it at, but it was right after that I connected with her, and it was great. It was great. Obviously, it was a
Yeah.
real
Hours
relationship.
nothing.
Yeah,
That's nothing.
yeah, it's not. No, it's not bad at all. We're just back and forth, and we, have our kids. It's great, and
Hmm.
I'm looking forward soon that our kids are going to meet. We took it slow,
Mhm.
made sure everything was real, because, like Dan said, I wanted to, we want to be sure that when we introduce our kids to somebody, that it's someone that's going to be around for a while. We don't want a revolving door
Right.
of women being introduced, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't want that on the other end either. That does get confusing and exhausting, I'm sure, for the kids too, to keep meeting different people.
Hmm.
Yeah.
When's this one going to leave? Like, so you want to make sure that it's as best you can. Nothing's guaranteed, obviously, but you want to make sure that that's something
Yeah.
that you're
And
you're
you can
pretty.
never tell people's intentions, when they're on the apps, and
Yeah.
where are they at in their which
Hmm.
phase are they in post divorce or post,
Right.
whatever,
Right. Well,
so
exactly. And I was, fortunate that Kathleen worked, stars aligned to meet her, because, she's helped me through
mm,
some of this, stuff, the struggles that you go through with this. So
yeah.
it's been great. And she's great with with the girls, and you couldn't ask for anybody better. So, but, look, guys, we're running long here, which is fine. There's no time limit, but I did go to social media, and I asked the question. It's pretty personal, so I didn't get too many responses, but I'm going to read one of them, from a friend, Frank Vivacqua. I asked, what are some of the biggest struggles about raising a daughter? And I left it open to men or women, but I'm going to read Frank's. He just says, the bond you form with her as a dad: be present, be active, but don't ask too many questions. The older they get, the more independent they get. Make sure they know you are always there for them, even when you are not sleeping under one roof. Don't be a provider, be a dad. Huge difference. I think that's a pretty
Hmm.
good statement by
Very
Frank.
well said. Yeah.
Yeah, he's another divorced dad with a daughter, and an all-around good guy. I've known him for many years as well. So
And it's
thank
hard to
you.
do that. It's hard to not think about being a provider and while at the same time being a dad and being a
Exactly.
parent.
Exactly. And then, guys, to kind of close it up here, I have an article that I wanted to just read a piece of that I found. It's Charlotte Christian Law. It's from a divorce attorney site, but I thought there was some good information here. And it's ways a divorced dad can boost his daughter's self-esteem. This is by Charlotte Christian Law. And I'm just going to read the spot where she bullet points a few of them. Ways a divorced dad can boost his daughter's self-esteem. Number one, talk to her every day, which is good because, and that's the kind of maybe the good side of social media, guys, is the fact that, not social media, but maybe internet and text. I know my daughter has a watch that she has, so I can text her on the watch. But it is cool to be able to FaceTime the girls and text them. Do you guys do that?
Yeah. Yeah. My girls both have the tablets, so
Right.
they always have, we have FaceTime and texting.
I'll tell you something that's pretty cool. And Nick, I don't know if you or Dan, if you guys have this, but I got Daniela a watch. It connects with it's like with my phone on my line, and she's got her own phone number with it. I control everything and see who can reach her on the app that's with it. And it's only I think it's only $10 a month extra. Her own line, she can text, she can take pictures a little bit with it. It's not, there's no Snapchat or apps or any of that shit. So, but I also can check her location on it, which is kind of cool. So,
Yeah.
so I don't know if you guys have done that yet, but I think that's a cool thing to do, and that just goes into talk to them every day. So I try to, maybe not every day, but I would say that out of the weeks I'm not with them, probably 5 times I try to reach out to do something, even if it's just send them a GIF or something. You know what I'm saying? So, so we got that, and then let's see. This is one that I like, because spend as much time with her as possible, making it a priority in your life to do things you both enjoy together. Take her on a daddy-daughter date. I loved hearing that because I started doing those a while back. So, and we kind of talked about these. And then if you guys want to chime in, just go for it. Otherwise, I'm going to rattle them off. But
keep going. Keep going.
Ask her questions and have meaningful conversations about things that are important to both of you: school, friends, news, work. Maybe not news, but
no, we don't talk.
I'm talking about the news
all the other stuff.
Yeah, maybe work, but a little bit, maybe not too much of that. Compliment her talents and abilities more often than you compliment her appearance, but do both. So I think that's good. And then when I was speaking, I wanted to put something out there. My girlfriend Kathleen said something to me. I'd always tell my daughters, "I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you." And one thing she told me is make sure they, that ask them, are they proud of themselves? Like, tell them to be proud of themselves too. Like I said, oh yeah, you're right. We get so hung up on being modest and pride and all that. And, but I think it's important to tell them to be proud of themselves as well. And that's okay.
Yeah.
So,
I like that.
Yeah. I thought that was a cool little, something I learned from her. So let's see, you treat her mother with respect and dignity, and do your best to maintain a positive relationship with her. I think we touched on that plenty. So we know about that. Give her a space to express her emotions in a healthy way and validate them. So I think we also said that. It's kind of me talking to them before bed and you guys checking in with them. And then 2 more here. Teach her how to do things you're good at, and don't do them for her. So that's not a bad thing. That's one I didn't really think. Teach them how. If I'm good at something, teach her how to do it if she's interested in listening to it.
Yeah.
And then allow her to be independent and make decisions in the context of safe, healthy boundaries, which I think is good because that gives them a little bit of freedom and feel like they have something. Like I've always said, if it's too many rules and too much stuff, you want to break those rules, I think. But if you are given the freedom, the opportunity, hey, this is on me now, so maybe I'll behave a little bit better. That's kind of been the way I work, because this is the way it is. Because it's on you. It kind of goes back to the disappointment thing. You don't want to disappoint anybody. So,
Yeah.
Anywho, well, we talked about a lot.
Yes, we did.
I think we got some good stuff out there. We want to keep it so it's a positive conversation here, and I think we did. And I think that we if we could put anything out there from this, is that you're going to have ups. If you're going to go through this, you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have lows, fucking lows. You're going to have lows. It's going to be there. But once you get accustomed to that, you're going to realize, oh shit, I'm in a low right now. I'm going to get out of it. And it's going to happen. And you're going to have some highs. You're going to realize, holy shit,
Yeah.
this crap. And you get stronger. You get stronger from it through the struggle. And you
You
realize,
do.
oh, go ahead.
Yeah, you do. You do.
Yeah.
And like you know, you just, it takes time and it takes a lot of like self-development. You know, I think that's probably one of the biggest things I got out of this that I see as a positive is I started to think for myself for once in life
Mm-hmm.
and take care of myself. I call it I tell everybody it's like the airplane rule. You know, on the airplane, they tell you when the oxygen mask drops, you got to put your mask on first.
Yes,
Because like
absolutely.
you have to help yourself before you can expect to help somebody else.
Yes.
So like that was a huge thing for me, I would say personally, through coming, you know, bettering myself, helped me get out of that slump.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and part of the healing too is talking and having a beer or having dinner with a group of guys like ourselves. Like we went out to Bulldog Ale House one night, and I remember this a few years ago, and we just hung out and like we're talking about things, and it's like it's good to have that friend male to male like interaction where we could just like share things that we normally like we don't share with anybody else, or that we is like inside of us, and it's like, hey, like, man, I need to talk about this with somebody, and it's like,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
it's that's all part of the healing process with
Mhm.
divorce and
100
yeah.
with anything too. And like, men have gotten sort of a bad rap in recent years and throughout a long time. Like we're just supposed to kind of be the strong, nothing is wrong with us. We are, you get a group of friends that call you a pussy because you went to therapy, or a
Mhm.
pussy because you want to show an emotion or talk about it. I don't agree and subscribe to any of that crap. I think that men do need a space to talk, whether it's with other men or whoever can help them. I think that boys, girls, everyone has a struggle. Everyone has a different
Yeah.
something. It's not just like one gender has all the concern and worry. Like again, we're dads with daughters, but we if we had sons, we would have a whole separate set of concerns that
That's
boys
true.
that
That's
boys
definitely
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
boys are with this accusations and these women that what was that movement they had, believe all women, that they started to push. That's a scary thing to be a man and have to deal with something like that. I want to go into that right now because that could be a whole fucking another
Yeah,
a whole
no,
nother thing.
we
I don't
can
want to do
we
that.
can set
That's
up another
it's
podcast
scary
for
with
Yeah.
that.
dating too. Very scary with dating.
Yeah, it is. You don't know what anybody's up to. It's terrifying. But I think that's kind of where we wanted to, put a place here, And again, I usually put my contact info out. So for me, it's at MFS Wellness on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram, and Mike at mfswellness.com. Guys, if anyone wants to reach out to you, they can. You can put out your stuff, or I can just put it in the show notes. Sound good?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's show
fine. That
notes.
Yeah, you
works.
can reach to me if anything either of these two guys said on the show has you wanting to reach out and talk to anybody. I think all three of us, if somebody is going to go through this process or is going through it or is through it and still not feeling good, because it doesn't mean, and not
Mhm.
everybody gets to the same place. Okay, when you go through it, so it's as a place for whoever, you know, just someone to talk to is sometimes all
Mhm.
you need. So, but that's really it, guys. Anything else in closing before I wrap it up?
No, that
No,
All
was
right.
this was good.
All
good.
right. Good times, guys. And thanks for being here. So for Nick, for Dan, I'm Mike. And until we do another episode, we will talk to you then.